On the Corner of Chocolate Avenue by Tziporah Cohen and illustrated by Stephen Salerno. At the corner of Chocolate Avenue and Cocoa Avenue lives a story that began more than 150 years ago. A story about chocolate, though Milton Hershey probably never tasted chocolate as a child. Chocolate was an expensive treat for the rich in the 1860s. Milton's family was very poor. His belly was often empty, and his feet were often bare. On market day, Milton looked longingly at the displays of treats: sugar plums, molasses puffs, peanut brittle, peppermint humbugs, peerless wafers, horehound sticks. Because his family moved often, Milton attended 6 schools in 7 years and barely learned to read. When he was 14, he left school to help support his family. Apprenticed to a printer, Milton hated the loud and boring work, so he threw his hat into the printing press to get himself fired. At Royer's Ice Cream Parlor and Garden, Milton washed dishes and stirred big cauldrons of boiling sugar water. When he was promoted, he learned to make ice cream, taffy, lollipops, and marshmallows. Candy made people happy. Candy made Milton happy. How wonderful would it be to own his own candy business? At 19, Milton borrowed money to open the Spring Garden Confectionery Works in Philadelphia, about 100 miles from his home. But the price of sugar was high and profits were low. After 6 years, his business failed. Next, Milton opened a candy business further away in Chicago. It failed. He opened one in the biggest city in America, New York City. That one failed too. It was time to go home. At the time, sugar was made from the sugarcane plant and produced mainly in the Caribbean islands. Sugarcane was difficult to plant and harvest, leading to high prices. Years later, sugar would also be made from sugar beets in Europe and America, and its price would drop. But Milton loved candy too much to give it up. In a small rented room in Pennsylvania, he cooked caramels. He wrapped them by hand and sold them from a pushcart through the streets of Lancaster. Oh, those tricky caramels. Other candy makers used wax in their caramels, but they were hard to chew and stuck to people's teeth. Milton did experiment after experiment, adding fresh milk to make his caramels creamy but not sticky, until he got the recipe just right. He cooked up all kinds of caramels: bean-shaped McGinty's, a penny for 10, fancy lotus caramels, $1 for a 5-pound box, Jim Cracks and roly-polies, caramels for every taste and budget. His rented room became a factory. His pushcart became a store. The store became the Lancaster Caramel Company. Soon Milton was selling his caramels to stores in England, China, and Australia. Milton realized that the secret to making money from caramels was not to peddle them a few at a time to people walking by, but to sell them in big shipments to stores in other cities and countries. Despite his success, Milton looked for new ways to make candy. At the Chicago World's Fair, he followed his nose. Oh, the mouth-watering aroma of melted chocolate. The chocolate-making machines from Germany mesmerized Milton. He bought the whole exhibit on the spot and had it shipped to Pennsylvania. The very next year, Milton founded the Hershey Chocolate Company. He told his cousin the caramel business is a fad, but chocolate is something we will always have. Milton had a new vision. Could he create delicious milk chocolate in bars just for eating? Affordable milk chocolate for everyone, not just the rich. Milton headed back to the family farm. He He mixed chocolate made from cacao beans grown all over the world with milk from dairy cows raised right next door. He stared at the burnt mush. Milton saw that the chocolate, which was high in fat, couldn't mix with the milk, which was mostly water. Making milk chocolate made cooking caramels seemed easy. Milton worked from sunup to sundown. He stirred big kettles of milk and sugar for hours in search of the perfect recipe. When he heated the milk to evaporate some of the water, the chocolate tasted burnt. When he used cream instead of milk, the chocolate didn't harden well and spoiled quickly. Milton even changed the kind of cows he raised to ones that gave milk with less fat. That helped, though the chocolate was not yet perfect. For thousands of years in Central and Southern America, chocolate was consumed mostly as a bitter drink. When solid dark chocolate was first made in Europe in the 1800s, it was expensive and mostly a treat for the wealthy. Then Nestlé invented milk chocolate in Switzerland, but it was still handmade and expensive. And the process was a secret that the Swiss had kept for more than 20 years. He hired scientists. He hired workers from chocolate companies in Europe to try to learn their secrets. Cook and cool, taste and test. Milton and his staff worked day and night on his milk chocolate recipe. Years went by, batch after batch, one failure after another. Until, finally, America's first chocolate bar. A melt-in-your-mouth milk chocolate. A milk chocolate that stayed fresh on store shelves. Milton sold the first Hershey's bar in 1900. He also sold the Lancaster Caramel Company for $1 million so he could make more milk chocolate. Instead of making his chocolate bars by hand, Milton set up assembly lines in his factory, which divided each step among many workers to make chocolate bars more quickly. With assembly lines, Milton made his milk chocolate affordable for everyone, just 5 cents a bar. He put his chocolate bars in restaurants, drugstores, and grocery stores, not just candy stores, so people could buy them wherever they went. Milk from local cows arrived at the factory daily, where workers combined it with sugar and chocolate, mixed it for 4 days, and then poured it into bar-shaped molds. Within a few years, the Hershey Chocolate Company had a factory running 6 days a week. The Hershey's Kiss was born in 1907, named for the kissing sound the drops of chocolate made as they were released onto the conveyor belt. Sold in boxes for just 10 cents, the foil-wrapped chocolate was an instant hit. Hershey syrup was a sensation too. First made for pharmacists to add to bitter medicines to make them taste better, Milton sold chocolate syrup in cans for families to stir into milk or pour over ice cream. Not everything Milton tried was a success. In the 1930s, vitamins were discovered. Milton joined the country's vitamin craze, mixing ground beets, celery, parsley, and turnips into Hershey's bars and kisses. One of his employees said that they tasted just as bad as they sound. Chocolate and caramels made Milton a very rich man. But he never forgot what it was like to be poor. He and his wife, Catherine, created a school to give orphaned boys a free education, something he never had. He built an entire town for his workers to live in, with tree-lined streets, libraries, schools, trolleys, a swimming pool, affordable homes, and a carousel. Milton and his wife never had any children of their own, but they founded the Hershey Industrial School, now called the Milton Hershey School. Later, Milton donated his share of his company, worth $60 million, to the school, so its mission to give kids in need a free education could continue indefinitely. And today, if you stand on the corner of Chocolate Avenue and Cocoa Avenue, the first 2 streets Milton built, you can still smell the sweet scent of chocolate from the Hershey Chocolate Factory as it churns out milk chocolate for you, me, and chocolate lovers everywhere.